Alright, depending when this comes out, or if it does, we are currently being tailed by Cuban intelligence here in Havana, Cuba. I came here, I've been wanting to make a video for so long about life in communism and showing people what communism is like in a place like Cuba, for instance. Came here to make this video, and when people think about communism, they typically just think about how communism is supposed to make everything equal, whether it be the amount of money someone makes or how food's distributed and how the markets are then controlled by the government. However, something that people do not think about, including myself, is how in communism they do not have freedom of speech. They don't have freedom of press. And therefore, they want to make sure everything that is posted or out in the world about their country is filtered or censored. So here in Cuba, as soon as I arrived into Cuba, I did everything that you need to do to come into Cuba as far as the documentation that it takes to come into Cuba. Right now, there's a big problem taking place here in Cuba, the largest humanitarian crisis they've had in maybe 50 years. And there's no oil or gas due to the blockade after Trump and the United States took over and captured Maduro. So Venezuela is no longer supporting Cuba with any oil or gas, and that also affects everything that they have, essentially, between whether it be the food or from it being the light and the power shortages here, or just the gas alone. Here in Cuba, you hardly see any cars driving around because nobody can afford gas. For 1 liter of gas, it's $10. Okay, so where am I getting? What am I getting from here? So I go out at the airport. They seize all of my cameras. They seize both my GoPros, my Meta glasses. These are not my Meta glasses. All my microphones. However, the only thing they don't take is my iPhone camera. That's what I'm filming this on right now. They don't take my iPhone camera, and somehow they didn't get this microphone that was in the very, very bottom of my backpack. So we get out and we go start to make the video asking Cubans about life in communism, showing what's going on with the blockade, showing kind of the downfall of Cuba. One sec, I'm working on getting this out. Right now, we're currently planning our escape route out of Cuba right now, so I had to respond to take a message to get out of here somehow. So we go out into the streets and we start filming this video. We're showing people what life is like in Cuba right now, how there's hardly any cars out in the streets. The buildings are like crumbling, essentially. All the university is destroyed, the University of Cuba. There's hardly any food out for the people, and just the mass poverty that's taking place, and asking people about things such as communism, what life is like in Cuba. Well, when we're doing one interview near a hospital where there's a huge line outside the hospital, because here the hospitals aren't even working, essentially. The lines are taking forever, and with their hospital and the government controlling the hospital, that also affects the power. So right now you currently have surgeons doing operations with flashlights because there's no power inside of the hotel, in the hospitals. Right now I'm in the only hotel in Havana that has 24/7 electricity, 24/7, because this is the only one that has that access. That's the reason why I booked this hotel, was because their website was the only one that was operating 24/7. All the other ones weren't, so that's why I was able to get this hotel. And anyways, we're filming this video, and when we're next to the hospital, we see undercover cop roll up on us, and my security guards that are with me, they detected him, and then all of a sudden there's another one. So we hopped back in another taxi, we left the scene, and we thought we were good. They didn't tell us, and we left. But since we left the airport, we had been getting tailed, or the word had gotten out that there was a journalist inside of Cuba. There's only 2 flights that come in here every single day. So it wasn't hard to spot out who the journalist was, and that's what my tourist visa said. That's what my visa said. It said for journalistic activities. So you can come here. There's 12 categories in which you can come, and journalist activities is one of those. So therefore, that is why I came. And right now, it is currently 9:30, and we have Cuban intelligence down in the lobby of the hotel right now, working to essentially try to round us up and potentially imprison us or make it so we cannot leave Cuba. So right now we're coming with a game plan to escape Cuba. Our original flight is to leave on Saturday. Right now it's Thursday, so we're going to be leaving tomorrow morning if we can make it to the airport. We're about a mile and a half away from the U.S. Embassy right now, which could be our possible way out of this situation by going to the embassy. However, that does not stop Cubans from stopping us before we get to the embassy. It's about a mile and a half away, so we have to make it to the embassy. And right now there's 3 essentially Cuban spies down at the bottom of our hotel right now, and we have to figure out how we're going to escape. We're trying to get a hold of the embassy right now and see if we can stay there overnight and then buy our airplane ticket last minute, so that doesn't pull off any red flags to the Cuban government before we arrive to the airport. This is not a joke. When we talk about communism and we talk about the effects of communism, something that you often don't look at is the freedom of speech or the freedom of press, to just simply be able to give your opinion out in the public and have it be then posted by a journalist. That's all I was doing today, was asking people about the current situation, asked a few people about communism, and that's when it really got bad. It was when this evening I left the hotel around 5 before sunset to go out, and the idea was we were going to go walk the streets of Cuba at night and show all the power shortage and how the lights get cut out and people don't have electricity at night. So we had planned to walk around the streets after the sun went down, and so I was conducting some interviews before the sun went down, and I asked a man about communism, and that's when we realized that the Cuban intelligence was at the hotel, because as soon as we walked out and I interviewed this man, we had a lady come up when I started talking about communism, and she started recording on the back. And we confronted her and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not taking a photo." She said she's on a phone call, but her phone was open to the photo. And so one of my security guards stayed with me, the other went and followed her from behind, and he tracked her down, and she ended up noticing him as well, and she went to another Cuban intelligence spy, and then they came to the hotel lobby. And before that, when we were eating lunch today, after we had gotten through customs at the airport, after they had seized all my stuff, my GoPros and my meta glasses and all my microphones, another man was at the hotel, and he was all by himself. And then this evening he was with the 2 Cuban spies in the lobby. So right now we are trying to plan our escape route. We have a few options. The main one is to leave here and then go play taxi tag, as far as hopping in another taxi to make sure we aren't getting trailed by them, and then make our way to the embassy, and then from the embassy buy our flight around 7 a.m., make it to the airport at 8 a.m., hop on our flight 8:30, and then be out of Cuba. The other options are we stay here in our hotel and hope they don't come and round us up in the middle of the night. The only problem is tomorrow is May 1st, and that is essentially their 4th of July here. We're just outside of the hotel we're staying at right now. They are going to have a huge march for communism, for the current president, and that's their July 4th parade essentially. That is going to be taking place right outside our hotel. Had no idea that was happening beforehand, and until we got to the hotel and they said that happens every single year. It's their biggest march. They do each and every single year, and it is for communism. You cannot speak out against communism when you live inside a communist country. Last time that happened in 2021 here in Cuba, lots of people were arrested, and it was not good. And the other times that happened were, I believe, like the 1960s. So communism does not allow the truth to be told. In fact, it just censors what people can do, and right now they are literally trying to kidnap and detain me and my 2 security guards that are here with me right now from leaving Cuba, and we're trying to do everything we can to somehow do something with this footage. And so if this video does make it out into the world, I have either been kidnapped or I am safe. If it's after May 1st, I am not kidnapped. But if the video is alright, I'm not gonna get kidnapped, so I'm not gonna say that. So I'm going to post this video though to show you guys the risk that we're in right now, and we are going to make it out of Cuba. If there's a will, there's a way. But this is currently what we are planning right now and going through, because we legit have Cuban spies at the bottom of our hotel room. We're on the 8th floor right now. They're in the lobby right now. The security guard just went down to see what was going on, and they're all down there in the lobby. There's a few singers down at the restaurant right now, so we're thinking to go down, blend in, and then sneak our way out for the night and make our way to the embassy. This is probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been into. This is probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been in, especially when you have no power here, essentially, because the United States and Cuba, they do not like each other. There's been an embargo since the 1960s here, where the United States has not allowed other businesses to do work with Cuba, and it's also then right now you have Trump even saying that he might have the pleasure of taking Cuba. And Marco Rubio, obviously, he has even said openly that he doesn't think a regime change would be bad, which it wouldn't. Look what's happening right now because of communism. They literally have spies downstairs right now trying to round us up before we're able to publish these videos. So if I make it out, this video gets seen. If it doesn't, I'm most likely in a prison cell, which I really hope is not the case. Third option is we somehow get to the embassy and we get a private jet and we make our way out. Other option is to steal a boat and take it all the way to the Coast Guard and then surrender to the U.S. Coast Guard and make our way into the United States. So those are pretty much our options right now. We have somebody outside, even on the street, in a blacked out vehicle, eyeing us from our hotel room. And now we are trying to figure out what to do. Anyways, that is the current situation. I'm currently potentially about to be kidnapped here in Cuba. I hope that is not the case, but I think you guys should know exactly what is happening and the risk we are taking here in Cuba to try and show people the truth about the realities of communism and what's happening here in Cuba. All right, we'll see what happens. They're asking why are we trying to leave the hotel early.